Thank you so much. So, on the GS and the DGS, the reason we are here today is trying to establish, as I had briefed you earlier, we got an anonymous call. Yes, but there seems to be wrangles between your office and one of your local branches, which is now the Friends Church International Center. So that's why then this matter was assigned to establish what are these wrangles about, and maybe you help us now to set the record straight, so that then we can report on the matter objectively. So that's why we are here. We want to hear from you what these wrangles, whether they are wrangles, if then where these wrangles are coming from, and maybe what is the root cause, and then we shall ask follow-up questions on that.
Okay, thank you so much. We want to appreciate you for giving us this opportunity to be able to respond to some issues that are raised, and maybe we'll be seeking more clarification before we begin responding, because wrangles in which area, so that we know what are we really addressing. Humanly, you may be moving on smoothly or working very well, but somebody have an imaginary kind of wrangles in their minds. So it becomes so difficult to understand the wrangles in that person's mind, unless it is put on the table for us to be able to address it.
Mm-hmm. So the first area of concern is that your office has been accused of trying to meddle in what they call meddling with local operations of the local church in terms of their pastors and other obligations that they need to undertake as a local meeting. So they say that your office doesn't want them to run in the way they feel it is best for them, so that they installed the first leadership, and then that leadership was again suspended, and then your office installed a fresh leadership again 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. Again, another leadership was installed. So in that way, they are feeling that they are not having a free will to run their own things unless the yearly meeting office is now involved.
Okay, thank you so much for explaining that. I request that you allow me to give some background of the church so that we know what we are discussing about and how it can be able to fit in, either to be called wrangles or what. Friends Church Quakers Nairobi Yearly Meeting is part of the larger Friends Church in Kenya family, and this church has been around for 123 years now. This church, we do our things in a way that are stipulated in our own constitution to guide us, because a society without guiding principles, what you can only imagine is just chaos. So we are part of that larger family of Quakers within Kenya. As Nairobi Yearly Meeting, we have our own constitution that clearly indicates how we operate, because we are a registered entity under Societies Act. And therefore, we have very stable leadership that we always file even returns to the government as a sense of responsibility and accountability to the government. We do our nominations as per our guiding documents, and the constitution, which I'm going to hand over to you, will be able to guide you maybe to look at the church we are talking about. It's not just a church that has emerged today. It's a church that has a full government and operates in an orderly way. And every leader at all levels are clearly guided on how to operate. It is quite interesting that one of the issues they are sharing, that we don't want to allow them to operate as the way they feel. You know, when you operate and you govern based on feelings, then you are bound to do things that are really contrary to the governing structure of a given body. So Nairobi Yearly Meeting has a mandate of all these kind of things. We run currently, we have 93 local churches. 93 local churches, FIC is one of those local churches. 93 local churches, FIC is one of those local churches. We have 21 mission stations that we are developing and growing and reaching out to people so that we can be able to establish them and to grow them to become full-fledged churches. We have 25 monthly meetings, and these monthly meetings, of course, every monthly meeting, which is an equivalent to an assembly, has several local churches. And as a church, we have governing structures that helps us to govern ourselves, to run our affairs, and to deal with our issues. First, I want to say that what is happening today is not something that we have embraced as a church, because in our constitution, we have clear ways on how to deal with our matters. If there is any conflict, how the conflict can be resolved internally as indicated in our documents. But reaching out where we are is quite unfortunate. But I want again to thank that good member who was able to share that information. And maybe he thought that media would be the best voice to speak to him and address his or her issues. And we are going to lay facts there so that all of us get to understand what our church is. Friends, after having laid that kind of foundation, I want to say that we do nominations after every 3 years. We have developed nomination manual to operationalize our constitution. Clearly indicates how nomination committee is supposed to be put in place. And after reading the names of nominated leaders, then names are presented to members, and it takes again 30 good days for members to ventilate, members to pray, and members just to, to internalize that these are the leaders who are going to lead us. And again, within that very constitution is that if there is anything a member feels did not work very well, then that member can be able to raise the matter with our Constitution Commission to look into the issues raised and, of course, find a way on how to deal with them. And therefore, as I speak here, is just to bring to attention that as a church, we have an elaborate process on how we do our issues. What may be called as wrangles, maybe, you talked about nomination. At the essence of putting nominations committee in place, it's not handpicked by individuals, but it is given to members so that every department can be able to pick one person to put on that committee, and they do nominations. What happened here in 2023, I think there was a gap. There was a gap that the laid down procedures were not duly followed. And of course, members were able to raise issues in writing. One of the issues when you are raising an issue, you raise in writing, you attach all your documents, church documents, to show that indeed you are an active member, you are a paid up member, and you are doing your things well. So those things happened. Members raised issues, and they are raising issues to a Constitution Commission that is charged by them with mandate of looking into these matters by our own Constitution. So the Constitution Commission listened, called those members, they listened to them. And of course, they brought on board everybody who was implicated. They also listened to them. And of course, they found out that there were gaps in establishing the nominations committee. And therefore, their ruling was, since there was a gap, we cannot allow this to continue because we're able to create a precedent, and it's also against our own rules. And therefore, that leadership was quashed, and they were given another chance. And since it had never happened within this local church, some people felt like maybe that was not a very good approach. And to allow the meeting moving, a caretaker committee, as per our constitution, was put in place to help guide the meeting as they go through the normal processes of nominations. And of course, it took sometimes around 4 months, the caretaker committee that worked, and in September, a team was put in place somewhere in August, presented to members. Then 30 days again elapsed, as usual, because you have to publish the names. Days elapsed, and we were able now to come to install the leaders. My office is charged with that responsibility by the Constitution to issue certificate that when leaders have been cleared, there are no issues, we issue a certificate that these are the leaders of this church within this period of time. So we sent in a minister to come and install the leadership. Some things that are not really very normal in Quaker church happened. After being given 30 days, you have not said anything. You are now coming to worship service to say, no, this is not properly done. Then, of course, they brought in some media house to create a scene that there is a problem. But it was a stage managed kind of thing. And indeed, it happened the way it did. But of course, the church has its own internal mechanisms to deal with the issues. The issues were dealt with, and the leadership occupied office. Again, there are many things that happened around there. So currently, as we speak, the leadership again became, when you are made a leader, when you are issuing that certificate, there are documents here that will be able to share with you, the commitment documents where a leader commits, because these leaders are operating on delegated responsibility from the registered leaders. That the registered leaders delegate responsibility to our constituents meetings so that as they operate within that very mandate. So there is a document here that you'll be able to look at yourselves, the commitment every leader make, that we are going to work within these parameters, we are going to do this, we are going to work in this very manner. Now, the moment you go against this again, you are brought on board. If you seem to be defiant, and religious institutions today are very interesting in this country, you have seen people dying in the name of religion. So as a responsible leadership, then they must be able to take responsibility to make sure that we cannot allow this to happen under our watch. We have to streamline and make sure that our members are given a free time to be able to worship, to participate in church matters freely without interference. So those are the issues that have so far happened. And when these leaders became a bit more defiant, the Constitution again gives powers and authority to the registered entity to reorganize that leadership at that very level. And that's what happened. And it was done on 14th of September this year. As we speak now, there is proper leadership in that local church. Yes.
So are you confirming that for the last 1 month, the service has had some tensions that your office had to call in armed police officers?
Not at all. Not at all. Our churches and several churches during Sundays, since the Al-Shabaab issues, some meetings have a policeman around them, not because they're taking charge, but just to provide security and to make sure that members are fellowshipping well. I can say authoritatively that there has been no issue in this meeting that maybe seem to be a bit chaotic. Not at all, not at all. The policemen you may refer to just to be around during the worship service, and they sit at the gate, which is normally happening in several meetings of ours, and there is nothing wrong with that.
Okay, yes, because the information that reached us is that this was a rare occurrence, because these officers only come when your office is visiting the local church. So is that the true position?
That's not the true position. By the way, I operate from this compound. Every day I'm here. Even today I'm around here. I don't know if you saw them. So that allegation is not true from where I sit.
So are there pastors who have been suspended or members who have been expelled from the church?
Suspension of pastors, I'm not aware, because as I said, I'm going to give you a document that explains how we have our pastors. This document of ours says that every local church will be governed by the leadership, and every local church is going to have pastors. And these pastors, they will be deployed in that local church by the yearly meeting through the local church, the monthly meeting. So from where I sit, unless they give you some suspension letters, do you have one so that I know what I'm addressing again?
No, we haven't had a copy, so that's why we are asking for you to confirm with us.
Those are just stories.
So, and the word that is there, because then it said that there are some pastors who are earning their salary direct from the branch, as opposed to coming from the yearly meeting, and that is what has created the division. So when you say these leaders are defiant, is it they are defiant by paying these pastors direct, or defiance in which manner?
Several things as per this very document that defines who a leader is. In fact, allow me to read one of the things that the commitment these leaders are saying here. They're saying that I shall exercise conscientiously the powers delegated to me by the Friends Church Quakers Nairobi Yearly Meeting presiding clerk, the registered leader of the church, shares responsibility to the leaders across the meetings, so that whatever they are doing is done in tandem with the spirit and the vision of this very church. And the moment now leaders begin to do things which are contrary to that, leave alone payment of pastors, because this document again will tell you the powers of the local church. Whatever thing they receive is for the yearly meeting. They are dedicating children on behalf of the yearly meeting. We conduct marriages on behalf of the yearly meeting. We conduct funeral services on behalf of the yearly meeting. Delegated responsibility. So it is important that whatever that we do is aligned to this very church, so that we don't give any window to mislead our members. So the defiance is not only about payment of the pastors. No, the defiance is wholesome.
So how many pastors are then implicated in this?
I don't think from where I sit, because the pastors that I have as Nairobi Yearly Meeting, we have 68 pastors employed by the Nairobi Yearly Meeting, and we service their salaries on a monthly basis. And I can authoritatively speak about these pastors. If there is another pastor, I don't think that I'm aware about that.
So then these 68, they cover the 93
local churches.
Yes. But then now, because this is the place where it's affected, how many pastors are employed by your office now who are earning a salary from the bigger basket versus those who are now employed by the local here?
We deployed 6 pastors in Ngong Road monthly meeting. who are offering pastoral services.
And those who are earning from the local?
We know the ones that we are responsible for as per our mandate. Yes. If you collect any money and you decide to use it in a manner that is not in rightful, how you're supposed to use it, you're basically abusing your office. Yeah.
So, GS, you are confirming something that then that we really wanted to digress on that. So when you say you are only taking responsibility of the pastors who are earning from the yearly meeting basket, so is that the contentious thing that is then bringing division between your office and the office of the local church? Because then if there are those who are earning from the local church, then the question is between them and those employed by your office, who is superior to the other? Is that the contentious issue?
Let me just come on.
Let me just maybe say something. You work for Standard Media Group. Standard Media Group is a big company that has branches all over. Can someone be employed in any branch without the knowledge of the head office? Not really possible. And what we are saying is, if something happens which we are not aware, then you cannot push us to accept that happening. But we have said that at least we send pastors to monthly meetings, and the deployment of those pastors to the local churches is done by the monthly meeting. And when we send a pastor, we even do not know the local church they are going to work to. It is the leadership of the monthly meeting on behalf of the clerk of Nairobi Yearly Meeting to distribute. Thank you.
Thank you. That is fair now. But then that's still on that issue. Now that two leadership has been installed and they seem to be defying the directive of now the bigger mandate, the delegated responsibility that they have been given to. So maybe in your own findings and the caretaker committee, what have you established? Because then it cannot be only the leaders that define the directive of the yearly meeting at whose sake, because then they have people who are under them. Is it that these leaders are speaking the voice of the people, or is it that in their own volition they are just deciding to defy the directive of the yearly meeting and employ their own pastors?
Thank you. As we come in to respond to this, I said earlier that we have 93 local churches, and all our local churches have the same status. When we establish, we give a copy of our certificate of registration. The question you are asking is the same question you are asking ourselves. That why one out of 93? And the question also asking, we're trying to find out what is it that is ailing our friends here that is not ailing our friends in Maringo, in Langata, in Malindi, in Likoni, all over. What is it? So in that dilemma of that very question is all the same question that is eating us.
They said that maybe your office is not what Gashako will say, listening to the ground.
What I'm giving you as an example of 93 years, that tells you that our ear is on the ground. Around 93 local churches where meetings are operating on a daily basis, every week, and smoothly, there is nothing. The question that is disturbing you, the same question that is disturbing us. Why one out of 93?
Okay. Fair enough. As we get out of the pastors issue, another accusation that was put against your office is now an issue of property ownership, whereby your office wants to own everything and push the local leadership on the side, so they don't have any say on their property which they are managing. So I don't know what you are saying about that.
I think that's again a good one. It's again a good one. Let me say something maybe to allow DJs also to come in and share. As a church, as I have given you a story that we have been around for 123 years, which means we are not the first generation to be in this church. And we have properties all over. And these properties, as per the laws of the country, our properties are vested in the registered trustees under Perpetual Act. Because for me today, I'll be here and die tomorrow. But you know, the trustees who are registered under the government are supposed to protect the properties of the church. Whether you die, by the way, trustees don't never die. Because when the trustees die, there is a mechanism on how to replace without really struggle. So the issue of property and ownership, again, is a strange thing that there is a problem. Out of our 93 local churches, we have properties around. The Friends Church in Kenya has properties. Other Quakers in Kenya, they have properties. But all these properties are vested in the trustees, so that these trustees hold these properties on behalf of the other. What you are speaking about may be the spirit of greed in one or two people, that now since I'm here, this is the table, I begin saying this is my table. No, this table is here to facilitate you do what we are doing now, but don't carry it in your bag and say this is my table. No, because even after you, before you came in, some people are utilizing the table. Even before you leave, some people are able to do what? To utilize this table. So as we speak about registration of the church, we have also registered our trustees, and all our properties are vested in those properties, not individual persons.
So when you say trustees, then we would be interested to know how many trustees are there, and maybe the value of these properties, and maybe where they are located.
Did you want to come in before I bring so many documents on the table?
I think what we are emphasizing is it's used to do with the property ownership is not something that is in discussion, because there will always be an owner of a property. But I think what we are discussing here is the issue of usage. And I think as a church, we own all property that is registered under the name of the church with our trustees, but we have allowed the people who fellowship there as users to make decisions on what they want to be done on those properties and even their usage. And we have mechanisms where Quaker Church is a very interesting church because people don't make individual decisions. We work through committees. The local church will raise their issues through their committee. They will bring their issues of development to the monthly meeting. The monthly meeting will bring to the yearly meeting. And once it is adopted, it works. So to us, I think we have never had any proposal that has come from any of our local church which has not been facilitated to work. And we have no problem with that. And I think even if they bring any issue now, we have committees that will look at that, vested with people who are well endowed in terms of advice, who will advise and it will progress. You can see, you have come around here and you can see a wall being done. It is being done by these local church members. Nobody has talked to them. So ours is just to facilitate, but the issue of ownership, you know very well that me, Pastor Dihanda, cannot own a property which is meant for a company. Thank you.
Maybe just to let you know, this our certificate of incorporation, to allow all church properties to be vested in the trustees who are registered, so that these properties can remain to be there even long after we are gone. So I don't think there is that issue of struggle or maybe conflict around that area. If there is, it could be a conflict in somebody's mind. But a church with the structures, with documents, there is no conflict whatsoever.
We understand, but then the two of you haven't responded to what we are looking for. The question we're asking is, now that this property is registered under trustees, how many trustees does the church have? And in terms of value, what is the value of this property and the location?
I may say that when you look at this document, at the time of registration, there were 6 trustees. And these trustees retire after 5 years. Once the trustee retire, it goes through the church processes to identify one. And again, the one who is identified is also registered by the ministry. So you cannot just pick somebody and say this is a trust. No. This one has retired, and therefore the institution is forwarding this one to take over, and must also be received by the ministry and authenticated as now the trustee of that very church. The issue of valuation, we are yet to do valuation, and I don't know why people should be fighting with the valuation. We have properties. This is just one of it. We have several properties with greater values. So it's just one of it. It could be a war in somebody's mind that wants to portray that there is a problem about this.
Can you name some of the properties?
The properties. In Nairobi here, this is one of our churches, but we have several churches, and every church sits on a church property and on the land. If you cross over here to Langata, there is a big land with a big church. If you went around here in Maringo, not only a church, but a full complex, school, everything. But all these properties are vested in the trustees. If you go to Kawangware here, there are several properties vested in the trustees. If you go to Kahawa, the same, Kariobangi, we are all over. But all these properties are centralized in the trustees. Because today, I'm here, and as I said, we are not the first generation of the church. People come and go, but the church has to stay.
Yes, something just to be you a bit on that issue of trustee and information. Now that this property is registered under trustees, but then your office doesn't know the value of the property, so then how are you able to account if it is in the hands of trustees? Then who takes accountability of the property that the leadership doesn't know is valuable?
Yeah, I think the question was about ownership, was not about valuation. Unless want to reframe a question to go around.
The question we asked
Yes.
was the value of the property is under 6 trustees. You have now helped us to understand. But then the location you have said all over. But then in terms of value, what are we looking at? Property, what this match? That is the question we are asking.
Of course, in Ngong Road here, this property is 3.5 acres. 3.5 acres. And being on Ngong Road, I didn't want to give you a specific amount that I'm not clear about. But being on Ngong Road, that tells you is an area that is a bit more expensive. Yeah. Look at the location of the place. Yeah. So it's not that we don't know. No. We know. In fact, we just had our conference the other day in August, where the finance report are given and everything is laid out. It's only that I did not carry it for this meeting because it was about ownership, not really valuation of this.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, in your sentiment, you said there could be some greedy individuals who on them are trying to mess up the church structure. So are you confirming, one, that yes, your office is aware of corruption within the Friends Church leadership? And then two, one of the accusations was that your same office is Their church structure initially was to cost 35 million. But then when they started paying the loan, it was raised to around 100 million. Then when the new leadership came in less than 6 months, they cleared that loan. In Nairobi, there is a structure that even you guys, I know. That structure, it is not clear on how much it costs, but the rumor is it costed around 10 million. And these matters were brought to your attention, and the members categorically requested you to take action on the people who are behind. But to now, we still understand. Okay, I'll speak for Nairobi, I don't know. In Nairobi, the person who is accused to have helped in that embezzlement of church funds is still serving as a leader, and that has caused also a lot of divisions, not only at NYC, but also in Nairobi. It could be the same thing in Donholm, it could be the same thing elsewhere where we don't know. So I don't know how you respond to that.
Very interesting. Are you trying to say that the FIC is competing with the bad vices from other meetings, maybe as you are indicating?
So you are the
one. Now, I may not be able to speak much about Donholm because it has never come on our table. Nairobi issues, I don't want to speak about them because they're not subject of this meeting. But also, that there are several steps that have been taken to bring that thing to order, including putting in place the new board, suspending the other board, just the same thing that has happened here, and putting in a new board to look into these issues. Because as a church, we don't just run by hearsay. There must be a team to sit down, look at the nitty-gritties, and give and give a proper report for such action to be taken. Because but the first thing was to stop the previous board that was there, and a new board was put in place. And they're still working on it to give us a proper report to inform the decision. Yeah. Unless you are telling me that our friends here, they also want to do that, saying that the other guys ate, we also must eat. and I think we cannot promote that. Yeah. It's quite unfortunate.
But let me just confirm that it is true the project at Donholm was an expensive project, and it was financed by a loan, and the interest of the loan was too high, and it continued eating towards even the expenditure that you have talked about. So I think that is what I can say. Initially, some people are saying maybe it was an architectural issue, because someone was saying that a lot of material was spent going up, which was not necessary. But as you realize, there is a very beautiful church there. The project itself was an expensive project, but the loan also increased the amount that was spent there. Thank you.
So lastly, as we bring this to a close, we realize that from all these misunderstandings, there are some members of the church who feel distrumbled and they shy away from coming to church. So I'm just interested to know what you as leaders you are doing, and what mechanisms are you putting in place, maybe because you see, one Friends Church has not been really in the limelight, but when such things continue coming to the table, then we have had people fighting in SDA, we have had people fighting in other churches. Are we likely going to see a scenario where church members are fighting because maybe they had a disagreement with the main office?
Now, Thank you so much. I think the church exists to serve the interest, first serve God and even the humanity. When you see all these attempts that are being put in place to try to curb this kind of confusion that disadvantages some members who just come to worship, fellowship, and go back home. Guys, you know very well that extremism in religious circles are dangerous. We just had Shakahola people dying. You refuse to eat, that you die very fast for God to come. I don't know who told them God lives among the dead, but that is it. Currently, as we speak, we're experiencing the second wave of the Kwabinzaro. Same things happening in the name of God. This cannot be allowed under an established church with established leadership. Even as we speak today, guys, you are aware that the government has published, there is a bill that is published, and currently there is a public participation. This bill was adopted by the cabinet from the presidential task force to deal with the religious issues. Why? Because most Kenyans are hopeless and they are being given hope by the church. Even when they are being told to die, he's still hoping that when I die now, I'll be able to come out of my problems and meet God to begin enjoying. That cannot be allowed in an established church. Things must be straightened and things must be able to work well so that the leadership has a responsibility. For this is a registered church, and we must make sure that we oversee the operations in our meetings, and every meeting is operating as one, by the word of God, two, as per the constitution, and three, as per the laid down policies to allow members just to fellowship and do their things well as a family. It is sad that today we are discussing this matter in church when the church is the mirror of the society. I don't know. It is sad, by the way, as I have told you, for the last 103 and 23 years, this is not the way Quakers resolve their issues. But anyway, tumbo ya mama ubeba. Inabeba watoto wazuri, inabeba nyang'au, inabeba chui, lakini wote ni wako.
So lastly, as we finish, you said something that I forgot to ask. Now, the trustees and the company that manages your assets, I think Quaker Investment
Companies.
Limited. Yeah. So then how does it operate? Is the company the one that is now taking everything? Then now journalists to...
I'll explain to you and allow this director. He represents my office in that company. And they have just had their AGM today. And I didn't attend because he represents me in that board. But why QICL? The church is registered under Society Act. This is the certificate of the church. The church to run today, because of the economy and many other challenging factors around, the church must have some investment so that they support mission work. This church or this act does not allow the church to operate any business. But this act allows the church to have a vehicle to operate business to support the church to further the objectives. And that is how QICL comes in as a company. Quaker Investment Company is a company fully owned by Nairobi Yearly Meeting. Allow me to bring in the director to say something about that.
I also want just to reiterate that Quaker Investment Company is an agent of Nairobi Yearly Meeting. Just as any other person can build houses and look for the agent to help manage those houses, that is what Quaker Investment Company is. It does not take any property of anyone, but it helps that person manage the property and at the same time pay taxes on behalf of the church, which are required by the government, without endangering the church operations. Because as the GS has rightfully put it, the church is not allowed to do business. So the company takes care of the taxes and also is just an agent. And it has also departments of advice on business. What type of business can you do? How can you do it? Then they leave you to do it. If the company is given a commission, it is just given that commission because it has worked on behalf of that, like any other agent, including the big companies of agents, which you know. I do not want to mention one because it might be a legal issue. Thank you.
Okay. I think that brings close to patients. Then shall take the matter, get also the other side, so that then we're able to give a balance to all this part. But
Yeah.
thank you so much. Maybe if you have one closing remark.
Yes, I want to appreciate you so much for doing due diligence before reporting on anything. Because I want to say that your professionalism has played out very well. To want to understand the issues before you dive into releasing statements. Because you would have done that to destroy our image. A church that has been around for many years. Now, I don't know if you are planning to come on Sunday, or those people who call you to come are still insisting for you to come. We don't know what they're planning in their minds. There is a possibility they may be planning to create a scene for you to cover to justify the allegations. And this can bring a lot of pain to the body of Christ. This church is our church. Any child in any family that really want to strip off the father and enjoy his father's nakedness, what befalls that son or a lady or a daughter? You want to strip off your father's clothes so that you enjoy his nakedness. What comes for? And this is what I see my good members are trying to do, which is not the right thing. As I have said, this constitution, I want to give it to you. Go look at it thoroughly to understand that this is a church that is operating in an organized manner. Today, being a GS of this very church, I cannot say that everything revolves around me. It's not about me. The church has donated some privileges for me to be able to carry on for the church for a period of time that once I'm done, I hand it over to the next generation. It's not like a ministry. If it were a ministry, even this one would not be sitting here. The one sitting here would be my wife or my firstborn. Because it's our business. Quaker Church does not operate in that manner. It's a full government. Everything is clearly cut out. That meeting in Malindi operates within these structures. That meeting in Kericho operates within these structures. Here, FIC, where our headquarters is. Imagine, and they usually say that the fish rots from. How do you allow your fish that you worked for to rot from the head? Hapana. So this is to streamline, to make sure that all of us are moving on together and are moving on smoothly without tainting the church in a negative way. Even when you come on Sunday, I don't know if you are coming. I don't know the kind of story you want to come. Have a better story for the church.
We will treat it as a direct invitation.
Oh.
So we are grateful.
Yes.
Thank you for today is a Saturday, and you guys have a lot of things to do.